You know, when you think of polarizing players in the NFL, Baker Mayfield's name has got to be right near the top of the list. But what if I told you that the guy himself, he really hasn't changed? What has changed, and changed dramatically, is how we all talk about him. This is the story of how the exact same personality can get you called immature one year and a leader the next. The only thing that seems to matter? What it says on the scoreboard.
So let's just start with the man himself. When a reporter asked him about this huge shift in how people see him, his answer was pure, unfiltered Baker Mayfield. Blunt and right to the point. And that right there, that pretty much sums up this entire story, doesn't it? The person stays the same, but the story we tell about him is always changing.
So that's the big question we're going to try and answer here. What's really pulling the strings on this narrative? Is it some deep, personal growth from the athlete? Or is it just us, the fans and the media, deciding what we want to see in a winner?
To really get a handle on the Baker Mayfield we see today, we've got to jump in the time machine and head back to his college days at Oklahoma. Because all the stuff we see now, that fiery attitude, the way he confronts people, yeah, that's not new. That blueprint was drawn up a long, long time ago.
Okay, picture this. It's February 2017 in Fayetteville, Arkansas. Cops get called to a scene at like 2:30 in the morning, and what they find is just chaos. There's this guy who turns out to be the Heisman Trophy contending quarterback Baker Mayfield, and he is drunk, he's yelling, he can barely walk, and according to the actual police report, he's also covered in food. Yes, really.
So the whole thing is messy, right? But it's manageable. It's a bad night out. Until that is, he makes one single decision that turns a messy night into a criminal one. He bolts. He just takes off running from the cops. And just like that, things go from bad to worse. I mean, look how fast this all happens. That decision to run leads to him getting tackled hard. That leads to a struggle. And what started as a simple public intoxication charge suddenly blows up into resisting arrest and, the big one, a felony for fleeing. That impulsive reactive side of him was right there for everyone to see.
So you'd think after an arrest like that, maybe you lay low for a bit? Nope, not Baker. Just 9 months later, on national television, the Kansas team snubs him on a pregame handshake. His response? He grabs his crotch and starts yelling at their sideline. Again, someone disrespects him and he has this huge public emotional reaction. You're starting to see the pattern, right?
And this is where you really see the paradox in action for the first time. This quote is from his coach, Lincoln Riley, who got emotional defending Baker at the exact same press conference where he announced Baker's punishment for the gesture. So even back then, everyone saw it. His biggest flaws and his greatest strengths were somehow the exact same thing.
All right, let's fast forward to the NFL, because this is where that whole paradox just gets put on steroids. When he got to Cleveland, that same personality was seen as the swagger of a savior. But just a few years later, it was the exact reason they used to kick him out the door.
And look, don't get it twisted. For a while there, he was their savior. I mean, just look at these numbers. The Browns hadn't won a single playoff game in over a quarter of a century. Baker shows up and he gets it done. For that one moment, all that talk about his character just went silent. Winning has a way of doing that. But the second the wind started to dry up, oh man, the narrative flipped on a dime. While the Browns were secretly trying to find his replacement, this absolutely brutal quote got leaked. All that energy that had revived the franchise, now it was just him being immature. They needed an adult. Ouch.
Okay, this slide right here, this is the whole story in a nutshell. This is the Mayfield paradox. Just look at the words. When he's winning, he's a fiery leader with moxie. When he starts losing, while playing with a shredded shoulder, by the way, those exact same traits are suddenly relabeled. Now he's childish, immature, and divisive. Same guy, same personality. Different scoreboard.
So, after Cleveland basically kicks him to the curb, he ends up in Carolina. And this was absolute rock bottom for him. And what a lot of us didn't realize at the time was that on top of everything falling apart on the field, his personal life was in total crisis mode. While he's out there trying to salvage his career in what everyone was calling a toxic situation with the Panthers, a lawsuit is filed on his behalf. It claimed that this much money, $12 million, had been taken from his accounts by an investment firm connected to his own family. I mean, can you even imagine that kind of pressure? So you've got this professional nightmare unfolding, a terrible 1-5 record. His coach gets fired mid-season, he gets hurt, and then you pile on that insane personal drama with the money. Yeah, it's no surprise he just completely bottomed out before they finally released him that December.
And then Tampa Bay happens. This is the big comeback. But here's the kicker, and this is so important. Baker Mayfield didn't suddenly become a different person. He brought that same confrontational, chip-on-your-shoulder energy with him. The only difference? He started winning again. And that forced everyone to rewrite his story one more time.
You want proof he's the same guy? Just look at this whole long-running beef with player C.J. Gardner-Johnson. There's trash talk, on-field taunts, guys getting in each other's faces. Back in Cleveland, this would have been Exhibit A for him being immature. But in Tampa, now he's a fiery competitor who stands his ground. See how that works?
He's even gotten savvy about using this stuff to his own advantage now. There was this great moment where a fan was heckling him before a game. So what does Baker do? He leads a comeback win and then finds that same fan on his way to the locker room and lets him have it. Then he posts about it online, completely controlling the story and making himself look like a legend.
And this quote right here, when he's asked about that feud, it says it all. It's not about his attitude anymore. Suddenly, it's about the entire team's identity. What was once childish is now the tough guy mantra for a winning football team. It's brilliant.
So what's the big takeaway from all this? It's pretty simple, really. Baker Mayfield's personality, that loud, in-your-face, unfiltered style, that's been the one constant through his whole career. The only thing that ever changes is the win-loss column. And at the end of the day, the scoreboard is the only thing that writes the story. Which kind of leaves us with one last question to chew on, and it's bigger than just Baker Mayfield. When we talk about an athlete's character, are we really talking about them? Or are we just telling ourselves a story that fits what we need to believe about the people we cheer for? Is it about who they are, or who we demand our winners be?